Welcome, basketball fans, to Pollard Gymnasium for this afternoon's game between Speedway Sparkplugs and Crawfordsville. I'm here with Coach Chuck Bennett. Coach, the last time we were up here, I think we were playing a team that had the same colors as Crawfordsville. It was blue and gold. It was the Greenfield Central Cougars, and that was over a month ago. And a lot has transpired between then and now. Bring us up to date on the past and what you guys have been doing and maybe even going forward a little bit.
Well, the first thing is I'll probably get in trouble. We'll stay apart. I'm going to take this off so you can see the smile on my face because we're playing today.
Okay.
So, you'll be able to see the smile on our kids' faces too. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, as you said, gosh, it's been, we played Cecina on December 18th, so it's a month and 5 days since we played our last game, which sounds like a lot, and it is. But, I think what we tried to do over the last month, obviously we're going to have some days off anyway. When our game with Greenwood got postponed,
right.
We were already planning on taking that time off for the Christmas break, so we were going to be off. Came back from Christmas break, had to shut down or take a 10-day pause for we practiced one day, and then we had a case where we had to take a 10-day pause. Fortunately, during that time, the only game we really lost was Ritter, but we made that up. And then we came back, got everybody healthy, came back for 3 days, and then had to go on another pause. And again, through all the hard work of Mr. Avery and what's going on, we lost the Pike game, which was the county. And anytime, that's a prestigious tournament.
Sure.
Would have loved to play them here, host them here, go back years. But we lost that game. But we had actually rescheduled Ritter for that Friday and Eminence. Lost those two because Eminence also had to go on a pause. But we rescheduled those, so we're good. So you asked me, we've been off some days, yes, but to be honest with you, it's kind of been a blessing. I mean, and that's the way we're going to approach it because it's made us hungrier, I think. It's made us appreciate more what we have. And all the things that are going on in the world, not to diminish everything that's going on, but to get back to normalcy for us, get on the court every day,
Sure.
Be with the kids. It's been great. And it's actually, I think, made us better coaches, too, because when we came back, we actually have adjusted our practice schedule. So we're doing a lot of staggering, so we won't have to quarantine again our whole 18 kids.
Right.
Our kids have accepted that. We're using time before practices start to do some mental work and some watching film. And so I think it's made us better. And I think it's going to make us fresher, too, as the season goes on. But also, the kids are going to be rewarded because, as you said before, we're going to finish out playing like an NBA-type schedule. We're basically playing Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Sure.
And that's an important thing for the kids, that you get to compete. And again, I can't say thanks enough to Mr. Avery and all the work that he's done and scrambling, and then to the other teams out there, that have helped us with the schedule. And then, of course, these guys who are going to continue to put us on YouTube and all that. That's awesome. So how am I feeling? You can tell I'm euphoric to be here. I'm happy for our kids because really they're the ones that have motored through all this. They're the ones that virtual school attended classes. We never had any issues with that. We've come back and they've worked their tails off. Now we're going to be winded today a little bit, yes. Or we're going to make some mistakes, yes. But
sure.
Just happy with that.
And I'll talk to Brian Avery in a little bit, but it's kind of in a silver lining. It's a very, very thin silver lining, but it gives you the opportunity to play some teams that you probably were not going to play at any time. I don't know that we've ever played Crawfordsville, to be honest with you.
We have not, I don't think.
Yeah.
But we were talking today, though, we may end up trying to pick them up because obviously their coach, David Pierce, and then his dad, Danny,
Sure.
Danny was at Western Boone, but they're great guys. They
Sure.
run their program right, and that's fun to coach against. And,
Absolutely.
And I think they would like to play us, too. So it might be something moving forward. We pick them up.
Coach Pierce, a longtime coach at Western Boone. I enjoyed thoroughly every time we played against them. Gentlemen and good coaching.
Right.
All right, tell us then a little bit about what we're going to see today with Crawfordsville.
Well, I don't want to spoil the information you'll probably give later, but you being the research man, I said, I think this might be the tallest team in the state, and you said, oh no, I found another one. So I'll let the fans tune back in, but it's going to be the tallest versus the smallest, I guess I would say.
Sure.
Obviously, they've got a very good player in Jesse Hall, number 14, who's 6'8". They have another good guard, Ty Lunas, who's, I believe, 6'3", number 3. And then if they start who they've been starting, they won't have a starter under 6 foot.
Wow.
And then if they bring a guy off the bench, 5'10" guard that's really good, number 12. And so it's going to be a contrast in styles, I think, from the standpoint of they're going to be obviously taller than us. I'll be real interested to see what our kids do. Obviously, boxing out will be key. I think if we can get some rebounds, push the basketball, make them chase us around a little bit on offense, that we could be successful. But, again, we talked to our kids a lot this week about effort and enthusiasm.
Sure.
And those things are going to help you when you're tired. Those things are going to help you when you're, you might be undersized, if
Sure.
you will. But and the last thing I'll probably tell the kids today, too, is control the controllables. No one controls how tall you are.
Right.
We can't control that. What we can control is, do we box out? Do we limit our turnovers?
Sure.
Simple things that'll be, if we play man-to-man, it's going to be tough. We'll probably switch over to some zone, too, just because of the height situation.
Sure.
But I'm looking forward to our 8 kids that primarily dress varsity, and if we need some help in from the JV kids,
Right.
great. But just to be back out and playing is going to be good.
Absolutely. Well, hey, happy smiling on the way down
Yes.
to the locker room, and we'll talk to you after the game.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right, we'll be back in just a little bit for the lineups.
Hello, basketball fans. I'm Tom Smith, and I'm here with my partner in broadcasting these games, Ron Probst, who's a basketball coach here at Speedway High School in the 1990s, and we are here at Morris Pollard Gymnasium for this afternoon's basketball game between our own Speedway Sparkplugs and the Martinsville Athenians. I said Martinsville. Crawfordsville. Got my Vills mixed up. Crawfordsville High School. I don't believe we've ever played Crawfordsville. This is a game that two teams that have been battling COVID. Crawfordsville more before Christmas, Speedway more since right before Christmas. We look for an interesting matchup. The Sparkplugs are 2-4. Crawfordsville is 4-2. And before we get started with starting lineups, I want to bring in the Donald Davidson of high school basketball to talk to us a little bit about some history of Crawfordsville High School.
Well, I always like to look up, Tom, their history and how many sectionals they've won. And it's kind of hard to see here, but Crawfordsville High School has won 41 sectionals. They've won 11 regionals, 2 semi-states, and they won the very first state championship in 1911. And a lot of the reason for this is because it's kind of like when you drive by the Motor Speedway, we take for granted so much the immensity and the history of that place, and I think probably Crawfordsville does the same thing. To make a long history lesson short, in 1891, James Naismith invented basketball, and 3 years later, at a YMCA in Crawfordsville, Indiana, the first basketball game in Indiana was ever played between Crawfordsville and Lafayette. And actually, somebody gave this to me a long time ago. I thought it might have been Coach Masariu, but this actually was a piece of basketball floor, the first game ever played in Indiana. And it was in 1894. Crawfordsville beat Lafayette 45-21. So that part of the state originally became a lot more involved in basketball, and that's why so many of the early state championships and things like that, awards, went to Crawfordsville, Lafayette Jeff, Wingate, Lebanon, that corner of the state. And so they have a big history. And again, I think sometimes when you're from there, you may take that for granted. But since class basketball started there, they've only won 1 championship. So a lot of these sectional championships, you can see this, most of these were won at Crawfordsville, which we could go on to the debate of class basketball forever, but this is one of the reasons why the big school hosting the sectional won. And they had periods on here where they won 10, 12 in a row. But a lot of history with Crawfordsville. We did scrimmage them one time when I was coaching, but I know we played them in football, but I don't think we've ever played them in basketball. But a tall order, which I know you'll get into here in just a minute, but looking forward to it. I told Coach Bennett before the game, a very thin silver lining of all this COVID stuff is we're getting to play, later in the year we played Martinsville, so it's kind of neat to get the experience to play other teams.
You mentioned tall and just a moment ago, and to speed up the process, and we'll give you the starting lineups after the national anthem, but their starting lineup is 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and 6'8".
Wow.
Got to be one of the taller teams in the state. I know you and Coach Bennett talked about that. So the Sparkplugs, under no uncertain terms, are going to have a tall order tonight, or this afternoon, in this game.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Speedway High School and Morris Pollard Gymnasium for today's matchup between the Speedway Sparkplugs and the Crawfordsville Athenians. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, can you please rise and remove your hats to honor our nation with the playing of our national anthem.
Coach, let's talk first about the starting lineups. We meant with the Crawfordsville Athenians at one guard, their leading scorer, number 3, Ty Linus. He's averaging 18.8 points per game. At another guard, averaging 9 points a game, number 5, Alex Kellerman, 6'4" junior. Linus is a 6'3" senior. The third member of the starting lineup, Ian Hensley, averaging 9 points a game, also is a 6'5" junior. Jesse Hall, their center, is their second leading scorer at 14.5 points a game, also the leading rebounder. Jesse's number 14 and he's 6'8". And rounding out the starting lineup for Crawfordsville is Cale Coursey, a forward, averaging about 6 points a game, and he is a 6'2" sophomore. They're coached by David Pierce, and his dad helps on their coaching staff. Both you and I know Danny Pierce well from years his years he spent at Western Boone High School. So a tall lineup for Crawfordsville. Speedway's lineup will be the lineup that we have used even though we haven't played since December 18th. The lineup that Coach Bennett has gone with so far this year, and that's number 3, Carson Harrison, a 6' senior. Number 3, number 22, Jacob Wachter, a 5'11" senior. Reese Walker, number 24, is a 5'9" junior. Nate Metallic is a 6'3" sophomore. He's our second leading scorer, averaging 10.5 points a game. And rounding out the starting lineup is Drew Valentine, the leading scorer for the Sparkplugs at 18 points a game, and he is a 5'8" senior. So we've got Nate Metallic at 6'3". Everybody else is 5'11" or shorter. They are, as we said earlier, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and 6'8". But as one of my favorite people, Speedway High School here, the late coach Bruce Hutchings used to say, if the favorite always won, you wouldn't play the game.
That's right.
And the Plugs today are a decided underdog, but they're excited to be here. They have struggled from the floor shooting up to this point this year, and hopefully that got corrected over the long layoff. But as Coach Bennett has said many times before, this is a group of kids that he really enjoys being around. They work hard, and hopefully we can come out, sneak a victory out of today's game. We're ready for the jump ball at the start of the game. The Athenians come up with the opening tip. Sparkplugs in a man-to-man defense. Have a foul on the floor. Foul is on Reese Walker. Crawfordsville will have the ball out underneath their own basket. A field goal from .32, who was not supposed to be in their starting lineup. That's why the delay in saying who scored. He's a 6'6" senior, so they just got taller than what Coach Pierce gave me as their starting lineup. Drew Valentine with the shot blocked. .14 Jesse Hall with a field goal. Coach, I don't know what hanging on the rim is. If that wasn't it. Plugs miss inside. That foul's going to be on Nate Metallic. The Plugs pick up 2 quick fouls. Jesse Hall, their 6'8" senior, we said earlier, averaging 14.5 points per game. And he hits the first free throw.
And you mentioned that the Athenians are 4-2. Their 2 losses were to West Lafayette and Park Heritage. We have nobody in common on those schedules.
And they've quickly jumped out to a 6-0 lead. Nate Metallic with the jumper. He breaks the scoring column for the Sparkplugs and it's 6-2. We played a little over a minute and a half in this first quarter here at Morris Pollard Gymnasium. Nice feed from Hall to Nate Schrader. And he has 4 points for the Athenians. Reese Walker on the drive, and he is fouled. That was on number 11, Ian Hensley, his the first foul on the Athenians, and Reese Walker, our leading free throw shooter at 77%. Will go to the free throw line. And I knew I shouldn't have said that. Put the jinx on Reese. Reese misses both of his free throw attempts. Thirty-second timeout taken by Coach Bennett. The Plugs trail 8-2, 5:34 remaining in this first quarter.
I think, Tom, it's going to be really difficult for us to continue to play a lot of man-to-man. The first couple of times they've had the ball, they've ran some really good sets, and plus the height advantage. But there again, I don't know what kind of shooters they are. So that may play into it as well. But we'll have a handful playing our standard man-to-man defense tonight.
Had a couple nice passes from Jesse Hall and Nate Streeter for 2 of their 3 field goals that they have. You called it, Coach. Sparkplugs now in a 2-3 zone. Ball misses inside. Nate Metallic comes down with a rebound. First foul called on the Athenians is on Ty Linus, his first. Once again, he's their leading scorer.
Athenian foul number 3, Ty Linus.
Drew Valentine with a jumper that falls left of the basket, and we've got a travel. Into the lineup for the Athenians at number 20, Kyle Corsi, who was listed originally as one of the starters, and Mackay Wallace, a 6'3" junior. 2 new players into the lineup for the Crawfordsville Athenians. Valentine on the drive. Shot blocked out of bounds by Mackay Wallace, who just entered the game. Drew Valentine will inbound it for the Sparkplugs. Carson Harrison now with the ball for the Plugs. Nate Metallic. Jacob Wachter with a nice pass from Drew Valentine. Plugs trail 8-4. Wallace with the putback, no good.
Even though we both played 6 games, Sparkplugs haven't played since mid-December.
I think December 18th was
right.
the last
Crawfordsville's
time.
actually had a couple of games since the start of the year, including last night. So probably a little bit, legs underneath them a little bit better than what we have, I would imagine.
Drew Valentine with a three-pointer. His first field goal, and the score is 8-7. And at the other end, Mekhi Wallace.
We need to do a better job of getting back. They're getting some quick shots off of their offense. Good pass.
Nate Metallic with the runner, no good, and we've got a foul on Carson Harrison. Mike Fox, one of the officials in this game. We both know Mike, longtime official here. Done some state tournaments. Cale Bennett into the lineup for the Sparkplugs. Number 50. Also Evan Owens into the lineup, number 20 for the Sparkplugs, a 5'11 senior. Shot by Alex Kellerman misses. Plugs come down quickly. Drew Valentine with a jumper. No good. Rebound pulled down by Kellerman. Also into the lineup, 12, Zaire Morgan for the Athenians, 5'10 junior. Put back by Ian Hensley, no good. Plugs come down the floor with the ball, score 10-7. Nate Metallic for 3, it's no good. And a bad pass by number 11, Ian Hensley. The ball out of bounds. Will be Plug basketball. Nate Metallic will inbounds the ball into the game for the Sparkplugs. Back into the game, I should say. Jacob Wachter, number 22. You know, you don't see very many players today, and the rotation, both of them have put several different players into the game. You just don't see people playing with the speed of the game and so on. Players, and that was a nice backdoor cut by Carson Harrison. You don't see very many players that play the whole game.
Right.
A lot of rotations, trying to find who plays well with who.
And I think since it's been a long time since teams have played,
And that's going to be a charge.
I think both coaches are cognizant of that. Want to get everybody in and out. And Crawfordsville subbing a lot, as we are as well, as you said.
That's the second foul on Hensley, so he'll take a seat. 10-9. Crawfordsville jumped out to an 8-2 lead. Since that point, the Plugs have outscored them 7-2.
Good cut.
A good back cut by Jacob Wachter. Ball goes out of bounds, deflected by the Athenians. It'll be Sparkplug ball underneath their own basket. Once again, score 10-9, 1 minute, 7 seconds left in the first quarter. You know, Coach, that was unfortunate because I believe there was a
Yeah.
foul down here that was completely missed.
I think defensively, we're going to have to give them those three-point shots and hope that we can limit them to one. So far, they have not shown that they can hit those, and they have shown that they can hit shots with 3 feet out.
3-point play by Cale Corsi. And the Athenians now have a 4-point lead.
.20 seconds to go to the quarter. Good steal.
Drew Valentine on the steal. Carson Harrison on the 3-point attempt. Rolls around and out. And that's the end of the first quarter with a score. Crawfordsville 13, our Sparkplugs 9.
Crawfordsville, part of the Sagamore Conference, of which we play a lot of their membership. Danville, who we used to scrimmage, we didn't scrimmage this year, but we play Tri-West. Crawfordsville today, we do play Lebanon is on the schedule. Western Boone is on the schedule, Northmont's on the schedule. The only teams we don't play are Frankfort and Southmont. Right now, Crawfordsville would be rated as probably about the 3rd best team, even though Danville, Tri-West, and Crawfordsville really are kind of separated out from the rest of the conference at this point.
Pretty good athletic conference.
Yes, in all sports. Of course, they had the 2 of their members were in state finals football games this year, Western Boone as well as Danville. As you said, a lot of history in that conference. North Montgomery's had some really good teams.
I was talking to assistant coach Danny Pierce, who for years, as we know, was at Western Boone, and these things run in cycles. Western Boone's football teams won 3 state championships, and I saw in the paper today their basketball team's 0-10. So 13-9. Jesse Hall with 4 points, Cale Corsi with 3, Nate Schrader with 4, and Makai Wallace with 2 for the Athenians. For the Sparkplugs, Carson Harrison has 2, Jacob Walker 2, Nate Metallic 2, and Drew Valentine with 3.
Bingo.
And right on cue, Drew Valentine hits another 3. Cuts the margin to 1, 13-12. There's a case of our 5'11 senior with their 6'8 senior into the basket as Jesse Hall scores an easy one for the Athenians.
I think that was probably mentioned during the quarter timeout. Fellas, we have a major height advantage. Let's get the ball inside a little bit more often than we have been.
We escaped that time without giving up a field goal. Nate Metallic comes up with a rebound. And I heard Coach Bennett over there yelling 3 seconds, and he was exactly right. Drew Valentine, the jumper short. Cale Bennett comes up with a rebound. Metallic shot blocked by Jesse Hall.
Good hustle, good hustle.
Comes up, Reese Walker comes up with the steal, and we got a foul, I believe, on Makai Wallace. Good hustle play by Reese Walker. Into the game for the Sparkplugs. Jackson Smith. And we got a 30-second timeout. So into the lineup for the Sparkplugs, Evan Owens returns. Jackson Smith, his first entry into the game. Crawfordsville leads 15-12, 6 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in this first half. So the Plugs have Nate Metallic, Jackson Smith, Carson Harrison, Reese Walker, and Evan Owens in their lineup. Well, I was hoping that would fall. But we've got a foul on Crawfordsville. Makai Wallace with his second. Carson Harrison is going to go to the line for 2 free throws.
I think it's always interesting after timeouts to see if teams run special plays. Obviously, that was a special play run by Sparkplugs. Hopefully going to result in a couple free throws, but some teams don't put as much emphasis on that, but Speedway does.
Tell you, one of the best after timeout plays coaches was the old Butler coach, Brad Stevens.
Yep, absolutely.
Noted for having a special play of some sort on, and you got the ball out of bounds regardless of where it was on the court. Sparkplugs back to their man-to-man defense. Nate Metallic with the steal. And the layup. Coast to coast for Nate Metallic and a nice play after the steal. Plugs get beat inside, and Jesse Hall is going to go to the free throw line again. Foul on Evan Owens. That's his second. Jesse Hall will go to the free throw line again. 2 for 2 in the first quarter from the line. Falls short on that one. I jinxed him too, I guess.
They do a great job of getting the ball down the floor. They've beaten us down several times.
And the free throw by Hall gives them a 1-point lead at 16-15. Rebound by Jackson Smith.
Nice move.
Reese Walker with a layup. That's Walker's first point, and the Plugs take their first lead, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Field goal by Cale Corsi, which is his 5th point. Valentine comes back into the lineup, replacing Evan Owens, who's picked up 2 fouls. Sparkplugs back to a 2-3 zone.
Ooh, nice pass, good pass.
Jesse Hall beats the Plugs again, and they lead by 3.
Good pass, good pass.
Pass from Jackson Harris to Carson Harrison for the field goal. After a steal, Nate Strader scores a field goal for his 6th point. Drew Valentine with a 2-pointer. It's Valentine's 8th point in the game. And we're back to a 1-point game again with Crawfordsville ahead, 22-21.
He's hard to stop.
And that's Jesse's 7th point, 11th point in the game already. Into the game, Jacob Wachter replacing Jackson Smith. Drew Valentine on the miss. Sparkplugs in the 2-3 zone. (24-21) Crawfordsville. Leading scorer scores his first 2 points of the game. Ty Linus. Nate Metallic for 2 more, and that's his 6th point of the game for the Sparkplugs. A timeout, a full timeout taken by the Athenians coach, David Pierce. We can slow down Jesse Hall a little bit. He's got 11 points.
They do a good job of interior passing, I think.
Yes, they do.
It seems to be one of their strengths. They do a good job of getting the ball down the floor. Offensively, our kids are really moving. Moving without the ball, a lot of motion. That's one place we do have an advantage. They're not as quite as quick as what we are. Here again, the Athenians call the timeout. It'll be interesting to see if they change anything or if there's just a general conversation going on. I would imagine there was a reason for that timeout.
Well, they lead 26-23. There's a minute 59 left in this first half. And the Plugs, after falling behind early, came back and took a 1-point lead. But as always, Coach Bennett's teams, they're working.
Yep.
Working hard.
Well, we're going to get a break. Well, that was a good timeout, Tom.
Missed layup by Carson Harrison.
Nice pass. That was a really good pass.
That's Zaire Morgan for his first points on a nice pass from Jesse Hall. Carson Harrison for 3. And that's his 6th point of the quarter, his 8th point on the night. Sparkplugs back in a man-to-man defense. Now we got Drew Valentine on a 6'8" center.
Nice.
And Drew Valentine knocks it away from him.
You know, they obviously have the height advantage, but they do some against the man-to-man defense, they do some really nice things to make sure they get that ball down low.
And Hall has at least 3 assists. He has 11 points and at least 3 passes that have led to field goals. Reese Walker with his 4th point in the game, and we've got a tie score.
That's questionable.
We need to have a talk with Mike Fox after the game, Coach.
We need to have a long talk with him. There again, though, they're really doing a great job of getting that ball down the floor quick.
Ty Linus completes the 3-point play. The Plugs now trail by 3. I guess my experience from college, Coach, is I played freshman basketball at Miami of Ohio and had a coach named Tates Locke. And Coach Locke loved it when you'd take a charge, and he hated it when you got a block because you weren't where you were supposed to be to take a charge. And last call, not trying to be biased or anything, but I don't think there was any doubt that that was a charge on Crawfordsville that was called a block. And
wow. I was about to say, I'm not sure that's where you'd want him have the ball. But it turned out okay.
You know, Coach, one of the things there, and I don't know if you saw what happened at the end, but he hit the 3 and turned around and made some comment to Coach Bennett. Yeah. I saw Coach Murley start to walk out toward the floor, but the response to somebody else's coach wasn't very good. We'll be right back with the scoring from the first half and kind of a recap of the first half in just a moment.
Speedway Crawfordsville High School basketball game. We're joined up here with Speedway Athletic Director Brian Avery. Brian, about a month ago, about the same time in the game, we talked to Superintendent Kyle Trebley, and he kind of chronicled the last 11 months of everything educationally that went on inside the building, and it's always been my belief that athletics is the other half of education, just very, very important. Tell me about the last 11 months. Tell me about some of the things that you've had on that, some thoughts you have, maybe what we're going to be looking at going into the future, and how all this has affected our athletics.
Well, obviously, we went into uncharted territory last March, really not knowing what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, how long the results of those things that did happen were going to last. So, you know, I would say for several weeks, the answer was there's more questions than answers. And really until it was decided that winter sports were over, which basically for Speedway they pretty much were because everything was kind of wrapped up except for the boys basketball state tournament. And once the decision made that spring sports weren't going to be played, which was difficult in and of itself, then it became, well, what's next? Will we be able to gather during the summer? What might fall sports look like? And luckily we were able to regather in July and get our kids back in the building on, limited basis in front of their coaches. And really since that time, it's been kind of a moving target. Things change. I'm very thankful for what we've been able to get in this year. Our fall season, with some hiccups, all the sports were able to complete their season. and play the vast majority of their games. We're probably one of, I don't know how many schools, but not a whole lot that played an entire football season. We got every game scheduled. We had some changes to make, but we got 9 regular season games in, a tournament, and obviously a scrimmage to start the year. So every sport's a little different.
Sure.
Looking back and knowing what we're facing now, obviously the outside activities are a little bit easier to carry out than the inside activities are for obvious reasons. People are more spread out. You're outside in the fresh air, whereas inside you have, confined spaces and kids closer together and so on and so forth. So now I would say we're very hopeful that we can finish this winter season in what I would say somewhat of a regular mode. We're getting ready to start the girls basketball sectional here in a couple weeks. Actually, a week from Tuesday. We're entering sectional wrestling is next Saturday. Swimming sectional start shortly after that. So we're getting to tournament time, and the good thing about it is we're getting to tournament time, meaning we're getting to that point in the season. But it's also a little more tenuous because now if we have close contacts or positive tests that might affect an athlete or a team going into a tournament, that's a scary proposition. And I know our kids, earlier this winter, as a matter of fact, I went in and talked to a coach during a practice, and he came to me after practice and said, Brian, you can't come into our practices anymore. And I thought, well, that's not really something a coach should tell an athletic director. And I said, well, why? And kind of smiling, he said, because every time you walk in, our kids think our season's over.
Oh, wow.
That you're going to tell them that we're done, or so-and-so's quarantined, or this or that. So that's how I think we forget how tenuous it is for these kids. When we can all remember when we were teenagers, and we probably didn't live life hour to hour or day to day or even consider that, but I think that's probably a hard lesson these kids have learned.
Yeah.
The opposite side of it is I think they have hopefully come to appreciate and enjoy more the opportunity to participate and value it, because nothing is for sure. Nothing is for sure, and I think they know or understand that unfortunately it can all get pulled out from under them in a short period of time, which certainly hope and pray that doesn't happen, but that's the world we live in today.
Yeah. I enjoy going to other games around. I get some relatives that like to see play and things like this, and you almost have to call every school beforehand because everybody handles things differently. What determines who can attend the high school athletic event?
Sure. Really, ever since we've come back to participating, the governor and the people at the state level have pretty much left it up to county health departments and local officials to decide. So basically, our tenet has been whatever the Marion County Health Department says we can do is what we're going to do. So I know fans get frustrated sometimes because we fluctuate back from vouchers and parents only to 25% to whatever the case may be, but that's where we are right now. It was good to see that Marion County went back to an orange county this week. Our levels went down. Positivity levels went down. Hopefully that will continue throughout the state winter tournaments, and then by the time spring sports come, hopefully we'll be normal. It'll be a new normal, but it'll be more what we're used to seeing.
Right. A lot of decisions. They say teachers make X number of decisions per day. Well, in your job, it had to go up exponentially. When you have questions about what you should do, where do you go for help? Where do you go for guidance, things like that?
One of the good things, Ron, that's happened, using that former athletic director can appreciate this. We have the State Athletic Directors Association has started basically weekly Zoom meetings. And really anybody in the state can participate either via Zoom or watching on YouTube, the YouTube channel. So the sharing of ideas and philosophies and ways we're going about dealing with this is now, there's a core group. Obviously, we have our conference athletic directors that I have real close relationships with, and people in the county, but now we're hearing people from all the way from South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, how they're doing things and ideas they have. So Athletic directors have always been a group that share ideas.
Yes.
We don't hide any secrets. We just want the best for kids. And I think COVID has helped it become more of a statewide proposition. So
Right.
obviously locally, our conference athletic directors and our county athletic directors and the involvement I've had with our state ADs association, I tell people I think my car could break down in about any city in the state, and there's somebody I could call at least for temporary help about that lives in the community. So, and I'm sure a lot of other ADs around the state can say that. So
Sure.
it's a team effort, as
Yeah.
you know. It's a team effort. A lot of people have been very complimentary of my efforts, which I appreciate, to make sure
Absolutely.
kids keep playing. But it's more than just me, as you know. It's all the game workers, it's officials, it's maintenance people, it's school people, it's nurses, it's,
Yes.
you know, the list is endless of what it takes to put on events, change events, manage events. So, you know, the adage, it takes a village, is true.
Yeah, you know, I told Coach Bennett, I said, in the silver lining, and it's a very thin silver lining, but it's given us the opportunity to play some teams maybe that we would not have played. I think we got Martinsville maybe
Sure.
coming up, changing the schedules around a little bit, and that's been cool. Going forward, I know we all hope for the best going forward to the end of the year, but anything special or maintaining what we've been doing so far?
No, I would just, you know, first of all, I've been very proud of the efforts of our student athletes and our coaches to try and carry on the behaviors that they know they need to continue to A, come to school, and B, participate in sports. And I've told people who have asked, whether you're an athlete or not, if you enjoy coming to school or have any reason of coming to school, whether it's because you want to make really good grades, you love sports, you're in performing arts, or you just like to be around other kids, we've been very good at adhering to rules and doing the right thing. We must continue that. We can't let our guards down, so to speak. Keep your masks on. If you're the parent of student athletes, I know it's hard to keep them home and keep them out of things that teenagers like to do, but for the next couple months at least, hopefully we'll start turning the corner a little bit. We're hosting the girls basketball sectional starting a week from Tuesday. That's going to look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
We'll change some game times. We'll probably clear the facility between games, not let fans in for game 2 maybe until game 1 is over. So
Right.
we just ask for people to be patient and understanding, with the idea that the most important thing is our kids get to play. And yes, I would love to have a gym full of people here to watch them, but if not, just getting ready to play. And hopefully this time next year you can go to any game in the state you want to go to and not have to call ahead and find out what's
Right.
going on, and so on and so forth. So
Well,
that's my hope.
I not only speak for myself, I speak for everybody. I know the hours that you guys put in, and between you and Steve Stocker, I've told many people, I'll continue, we are the luckiest, most fortunate school to have 2 people that are as interested in the kids and doing things right and making sure everything is done properly. So congratulations on everything up till now, and let's just fingers crossed. Coach Bennett took his mask off a little bit because he was smiling, he was so happy, and let's hope that we can continue that and going forward. So
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and as I said, I couldn't do it without people like Steve and all the others that help. Shelly Greenlee comes and takes tickets all the time.
Yep.
John Dalcrobo's doing the PA, our clock operators, officials, so on and so forth.
Sure.
So, yeah, and I firmly believe, and I think you agree, most of us that are in this profession do it for kids, and it's a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a labor of love, but it's also nice to do it for people that appreciate your efforts, and that's certainly what Speedway is all about. So
Good.
thank you.
good. We'll be back in just a little bit with the second half of the game.
We are a little less than a half a minute into the third quarter. Got a referee's stoppage at play right now. It's going to be Crawfordsville ball out of bounds. Crawfordsville led at the end of the first quarter 13-9. They led at halftime 34-28. It's been a back and forth game. The Plugs haven't led very much, but they have hung in there, and a layup by Ty Linus makes it 36-28, which I think is their biggest lead. Linus scores again. You saw there, Coach had 2 runouts.
Yeah.
2 players took off when they were fighting for a jump ball. And it's a 10-point lead now for Crawfordsville. We've got to be careful not to let them get away.
Oh, wow. Got a break there.
Nate Metallic with the miss.
Good hustle,
Turns
Nate.
around, almost a steal at the other end. 38-28, 6:30 left in this third quarter.
As you mentioned, that is their largest lead. At 6-point leads a couple times. Speedway's largest lead was 1 point at 17-16.
I recall a game not too long ago where Purdue's only lead was 1 point at the end of the game. Yes, a wet spot from where players were on the floor a moment ago, fighting for a loose
assistant
ball.
coaches are cooperating. One from Speedway, one from Crawfordsville. Coach Murley. Looks like Coach Murley maybe have done that around his house. Tom once in a while cleaning up messes, and he looked like an expert out there.
Yeah. Well, he's got a wife and 2 boys at home,
Yeah.
so that the likelihood of that happening is. Jesse Hall with the layup and a foul on Jacob Wachter. And all of a sudden, we've got a 13-point lead for the Athenians. Trying to be impartial, Coach, but what we see at the other end is a foul. What we're seeing at this end is no foul. It, you know, is your past years in coaching and mine, consistency were what you look for. A foul at one end ought to be a foul at the other end. The foul's called on Ty Linus, his second, but not part of the play that we felt was a foul before then. Having said that, I never thought you got better by blaming officials for what happened.
Good pass. There we go.
Reese Walker gets one to fall for the Sparkplugs, 41-30. Jesse Hall, I'm sure Coach Pierce doesn't plan his 6'8" center shooting threes out there.
After no passes.
Now, there was a case where I thought that might have been a charge, and he called it a block, which is what they did at the other end. And it may have been, you know, they don't have the circle in high school basketball, but certainly
I think there was a little bit of hesitancy on that call as well. It didn't come out quite as demonstrative as it would had he known immediately what he was going to do.
Nate Metallic at the line for the Sparkplugs.
Good.
But, you know, also on the block charge thing, when you're right underneath the basket, I get kind of aggravated when those are called charges as well. Metallic to Drew Valentine, misses.
Drew was
Ty
leaning in
Linus
just a
comes
little
down.
bit on that.
(41-32), 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Nate Schrader for his 8th point.
Ooh, well,
Drew Valentine with his 10th point. And the Athenians throw it away. It'll be Sparkplugs' ball. Alex Kellerman comes back into the game for the Athenians. Officials checking, and the ball was never touched, so it goes back. Goes back underneath the basket, since the ball wasn't touched in bounds by the Athenians. A turnover by the Sparkplugs. Sparkplugs with some man-to-man pressure. Nothing the Sparkplugs can do about that one.
no.
19th point for Jesse Hall. When your 5'11" center is trying to keep a 6'8" guy from receiving a lob.
Good drive.
Wachter comes right back, scores himself. Coach Bennett will take the 3rd timeout, I believe, for the Sparkplugs. Plugs trail by 9, 45-36. Wachter responds to a field goal by the Athenians with a layup. Nice move on his own. Coach, if you're Speedway, you're really kind of limited on, I mean, putting some pressure on them really is your only, you can't expect to fall back and with the lack of size the Sparkplugs have, Nate Metallic being their tallest player on the floor at 6'3".
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that we've been able to keep this thing where it is at right now. I'm a little concerned.
Still within striking distance.
Yes. I am impressed with Crawfordsville and the specials that they run. They've scored a lot of points tonight off of special plays. The last one was called an ISO, and down the high post and slid to the basket and got an easy one. At the same time, they've committed a lot of careless errors. If they clean things up going forward down their schedule, they could be a really difficult team to play late in the year.
And they have the one thing you just can't coach, and that's size.
Exactly.
That doesn't always mean you're going to win, but they are unselfish. Evan Owens into the lineup for the Sparkplugs. Cale Bennett also into the lineup for the Sparkplugs. And a miss by the Athenians. Reese Walker on the drive, misses the layup.
I would say the one, and again, when you only see him play one time, and the one thing that they don't do exceptionally well, at least that looks like from just here, is they don't shoot the ball from deep. But again, that's only a half and a part of another quarter.
Well, the things that Coach Bennett had on the scouting reporter is exactly what they do in terms of personnel. He mentioned that they have what we used to call bust outs, which sometimes when we shoot, they take off to the other end before rebounds ever happen.
Right.
And you can do that when you've got taller players.
Good bucket,
Nate
Nate.
Metallic, the good field goal. His 4th point of the quarter, 10th point on the night. He and Drew Valentine both have 10. That's 20 of Speedway's 38 points. It's 47-38. Plugs trail by 9. 2 minutes left in this 3rd quarter.
Interesting here, there. Saw Coach put up 4 fingers with 4 corners.
And steal by the Sparkplugs. The good hands of Reese Walker.
Good drive.
Drew Valentine takes it to the basket, and the Plugs close to within 7.
That was a great job on his part to avoid that charge.
Kai Wallace scores his 4th point of the game.
Got a lane.
We've got a foul on Evan Owens, his 3rd. Ian Hensley, who has yet to score, is at the line, and he'll shoot 2. Hits the first. Into the lineup for the Sparkplugs is Carson Harrison, number 3, and Jackson Smith, number 40. The Athenians lead is now 10, 50-40, 1 minute, 10 seconds left in this 3rd quarter. Hensley cans both of his free throws. So for the Sparkplugs, Carson Harrison, Evan Owens, Jackson Smith, Drew Valentine, and Cale Bennett. Three-point shot missed by Drew Valentine.
I think they will now play for 1 shot, it looks like, which I would probably do too. They're up 11. This is a big, kind of a pet peeve of mine, Tom, that more teams don't do this. You go down to the end of the quarter here, the worst you're going to be is 11 up, possibly 12 or 13. Nice. Get in there.
The quarter ends with the Athenians ahead 51-40.
So the 51-40 matches Crawfordsville's largest lead of the night, which has happened several times in this quarter, but Speedway seems to keep battling back and getting that thing under 10. But what I was referring to is especially when you get under 30 seconds. You take a quick shot, miss it, opponents go down and score, and it could mean a difference of 5 or 6 points. Well, I got a feeling that we're going to have to continue to play man-to-man. I got a feeling that Crawfordsville could take a little bit of the air out of the ball. Got a long time to go, though. I understand that, but
Right,
they've shown
but
a
that's
couple.
what they did
Yeah,
a couple times. And my guess is they're going to make you play them
Yeah.
man-to-man where their
Yeah.
height advantage is.
yep, yep.
Scoring for the Sparkplugs, leading scorer Drew Valentine with 12. Nate Metallic has 10. Carson Harrison has 8. Reese Walker 6. Jacob Wachter 4. So the starters for the Sparkplugs are the only 5 who have scored in this game so far. Leading scorer in the game is number 14, Jesse Hall, their 6'8" senior center. Jackson Smith on the baseline jumper misses.
Got to get back, Tom Drew. They do a great job of pushing the ball.
Yes, they do.
Foul number 30, Nate Metallic. On the line.
And Metallic on the foul, his second foul. And to the line is Makai Wallace. His first trip to the line tonight. Makai Wallace, a 6'3" junior. Well-built young man. Looks like he might be a football player,
Yeah,
Coach.
I was thinking the same thing.
Carson Harrison for 3,
Big
and
bucket.
he hits it.
Big bucket.
The lead back to 8.
Oh,
Wallace banks one in. Don't think that's what he intended to do, but it worked.
and you know, actually, if it was, it's a good idea from that spot. to bank it in.
Absolutely, but you don't see very many players
No,
doing
you
it
don't.
today. Drew Valentine has a strip, another run out. Drew Valentine on the miss. 3-on-1 going the other way. He's going to give him 2 shots.
Speedway foul on number 30, Nate Metallic.
Looks like it.
On the line, 2-2 for the Athenians, number 3.
He passed the ball. Fouls on Nate Metallic. Leading scorer on the season for
Checking in for the Sparkplugs.
the Athenians is at the line, and that's his 12th point on the night. He's averaging 18.8.
Athenians substitution.
Ty Linus, a 6'3" senior guard. Misses the second one.
I think Coach Bennett's kind of repeating some of the same things that we've talked about a couple times.
Yeah.
And you know, let's see what happens here. Good player.
Jesse Hall for his 21st point. And obviously, I don't disagree with him.
Right or wrong, calls many times go to teams that are more physical, bigger. It just seems that way. And I'm not saying that's happening here. And I really don't know why that would be, but I've seen that a lot.
And I think you are 100% correct. when I was coaching, I always lay up by Ty Linus. I always felt like advantages went to bigger schools in their style of play because of the physicality. If they're going to let you play, it helps the 6'8" kid versus the 6'1" kid.
Good tie-up.
Good job by Carson Harrison to get the jump ball. Plugs trail by 14, 60-46, 5:02 remaining. All in the possession. It'll be the Athenians' ball after this timeout. You know, just looking at the crowd, Coach, it's, you know, for all of spring sports, as you and Brian talked about, were canceled, and you look and they can have 25% of the people in the gym now because Marion County is going orange, but you don't have anywhere close to 25%.
No.
People become accustomed to only people can come are parents, and athletic departments are struggling, have to be because of that. And particularly basketball and football, which here was not really affected that much. We had to trade a game and picked up Tri-West.
Right.
But basketball and football, as you know from being a former athletic director, that's your lifeblood.
They're the cash
attendance
cows,
that-
absolutely. Well, I'll be interested here to see, they call the timeout, see what their plan of attack here in the last 5 minutes, up by 14 points. We didn't need that.
Nice move by Jesse Hall. It's his 23rd point on the night. And we are 16 points down with a flurry here from the Athenians in the scoring column. We're going to have foul on number 20, Cale Coursey. The Sparkplugs ball out of bounds.
Mr. Avery was talking earlier about the girls sectional, which will be held here. Some of the differences that fans will see relative to past sectionals. Nice shot.
Nate Metallic with a nice field goal for his 12th point of the night.
The times probably will be changed, maybe some cleaning between the games. But again, we get to play, hopefully. Nice play.
Hall misses the dunk.
Nice pass.
Nice pass from Drew Valentine to Jacob Wachter. Couldn't get the layup to fall. Plugs trail by 14, 62-48. Great job by Reese Walker.
Yes, yes.
Nice pass.
You got a bump.
Nice pass from Drew Valentine to Jacob Wachter. Wachter is fouled. It'll be Sparkplug ball out of bounds.
Checking into the Athenians, number 5, Alex.
Timeout taken by the Athenians coach. Scramble on the floor down in the corner. Officials are trying to make sure it's dry now with players. See the Sparkplug trainer heading back. The player from Crawfordsville is shaken up, checking on him. It's a great thing for high school athletics, the training situation and having a official at every game.
You can attest to it too, but it takes a load off the coach's mind, load off the athletic director's mind, because it wasn't always this way.
No. Nice block by Nate Metallic. Remain Crawfordsville ball, 62-48, 3:01 left in this ball game.
And a foul. Yep.
And we're going to have a foul on 14.
Athenian foul on number 14, Jesse Hall.
His first foul. Got a moving screen on Reese Walker. It's nice when you know you can always find a 6'8" kid
Yeah.
if you get in trouble.
And it's easier for him to find other people as well. Well, he's a good player. He can probably play somewhere. He's a little loose now and then, but he's got a lot of skills.
Yes, he does.
Very good high school player. I'll say that. Very good player.
Unselfish.
Yeah.
One spin Moody made here in the second half was an outstanding high school play.
Yep.
Sparkplug still working hard. Drew Valentine hits the three-pointer. Trail by 13. Losing the numbers game there. Drew Valentine commits his first foul. It will be Crawfordsville ball out of bounds as they're not in the 1-on-1. Oop, now they've changed the scoreboard. It is a 1-on-1. Ian Hensley at the line. He misses.
Get a bucket here. Never know.
Drew Valentine misses. Jesse Hall comes down with a rebound. There's one of the runouts we talked about earlier.
Yeah, they've got a lot of those.
Speedway foul on number 3, Carson Harris.
We used to refer to that when I was coaching the teams I coach as jailbreak. So you're taking off.
That's also a football set as well. As I said, their sectional is difficult. A lot of the same teams in the conference, but from what I've seen, they play with a lot of those. We have not I'm not sure we'll even play Tri-West.
Alex Kellerman hits both of his free throws, 66-51. Drew Valentine with another three. His 9th point in this quarter, 21st point on the night, averages 18 a game. And Carson Harrison with the foul, his 4th.
Well, let's hit another one. And one. I think Coach is gonna. Have you ever been in that situation, Tom, where
I have.
you're way up, not way up, but you take some of your starters out, and all of a sudden you look up and it's under 10 points. And I have seen 10-point leads dissipate with a minute to go.
Cale Bennett comes into the lineup. Drew Valentine will be at the line. Remember one time in a freshman game, we were ahead of, when I was coaching freshman basketball, and we were ahead like 29-8 at the halftime. We were playing Zionsville. And Coach Pollard, and I walked to the locker room at halftime. I said, what do I do now? And he said, put your starters back in and then take them out. So I put them all back in at the start of the second half, and one by one started taking them out, and the score got closer and closer. And I think it was 30-8 at halftime, and it got to 31-27 or something like that. And we ended up winning the game, but we finished with all 5 starters on the floor. Sparkplugs trail by 9. Nine fouls on the Sparkplugs this half, 7 fouls on the Athenians. And as you say, they brought Jesse Hall back into the game.
Foul, got a foul, guys. A little surprised that they took that shot. I know he was underneath the basket, but
Evan Owens with the foul. 2 free throws.
the famous Al McGuire famous quote was, right now the clock is your opponent, not Speedway.
Both free throws made by Cale Corsi. 11-point margin, 45 seconds left in the ball game. Foul by Carson Harrison, and that'll be his 5th. Carson finishes the game with 11 points for the Sparkplug tonight. Cale Bennett in for the Sparkplugs.
Kind of a unique form from the line that they go in. We talked many times, if they go in, they can shoot them over their head if they want. I don't care, but a little bit different. But I think he's 3 for 3.
He is 3 for 4 on the night.
3 for 4.
Missed a 1-on-1 a moment ago. Now 3 for 5. But
I agree with Brian Pierce. He did walk.
They have no 3-0, 2-0. Called the foul on 3-0, but there isn't anybody in their lineup on their roster with 3-0, so they got it corrected. Got a foul on 14, Jesse Hall.
14, Jesse Hall. Speedway substitution, number 20, Evan Owens. On the line for the Sparkplugs, number 32, Drew Valentine.
Drew Valentine at the line. Gets the first. Misses the second. And that's going to complete the ball game. The final score, Crawfordsville Athenians 69, Speedway Sparkplugs 58. And we will be right back with a recap and an interview with Coach Charles Bennett. Ron Probst and myself, Tom Smith, are back here at Morris Pollard Gymnasium for the wrap-up, and we will then have an interview with Coach Charles Bennett when he gets up here. Scoring, let's talk about first of all the victorious Crawfordsville Athenians, whose record moves to 5-2. Leading scorer for them was Jesse Hall with 25. Ty Linus had 14, and Nate Schrader had 8 for their top 3 leading scorers. Jesse Hall is their second leading scorer normally, have 14.5 points a game. Ty Linus, their leading scorer, at 18.8, so they held Linus under his average, but Jesse Hall, 6'8" senior center, was too much for the Sparkplugs tonight. For Speedway scoring, Drew Valentine was the leading scorer tonight with 25 points. Nate Metallic had 12, Carson Harrison 11, Jacob Wachter 4, and Reese Walker 6 for the Sparkplugs total of 58. And Coach, as we've said before, they haven't played since the 18th of December. But the only 5 people that scored were the 5 people that started for the Plugs, and they've got to get some production from people coming off the bench if they're going to be successful. And I realize we trailed, and so you got your starters in there trying to keep in the ball game, and we certainly hung in there. It wasn't a.
Oh no.
I think the prediction was an 18-point difference. It ended up 11 points. And as we've said so many times, Speedway plays hard.
Yeah.
We just are short on the size part, and there's nothing that can be done about that. Unless you know some way to get some 6'7" freshmen to move into town or something.
Didn't really know what to expect being off that long, but 2 things. Number one, very well coach, ran some good sets, got some easy baskets, both off their offense and then running. They clean a few things up. They could be a real handful come tournament time. But you're right. We, to be competing like we did against this team today with the height disparity was played hard. We'll always expect that because we will. But I thought our kids played pretty well. There were some streaks of points, as Coach Bennett always says. It's a game of runs, and they had a few more than what we had, and they come away with an 11-point win.
Well, like you say, it was an 11-point loss for the Sparkplugs, but it wasn't due to a lack of effort. And layoff of, I think Coach Bennett said, a month and 5 days since they played, which is not an excuse, but it'll be interesting to see in the next 3 or 4 weeks how we bounce back. And again, it will not be because of the lack of effort. But the size disadvantage, and I know you were talking earlier, you and I were talking about how big Valpo High School's team is. But this has got to be one of the taller starting 5s in the state of Indiana that the Sparkplugs were up against today. Well, we will be right back with Coach Charles Bennett in just a moment for a closing interview.
Welcome back to Pollard Gymnasium, where Crawfordsville Athenians defeat Speedway Sparkplugs this afternoon, 69-58. Here with the post-game comments with Coach Bennett. Coach, I know when you interview, you're supposed to let the other guy talk, but I'm just going to lead it off by saying, after having been a month and 5 days off, playing against a team that's, I think, really could be pretty special, athletic, big. I thought your guys played really hard. They had a couple big runs, but it was a fun game. That was my feeling. I would have been very proud of how the kids played today.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you saw the pregame interview, I smiled a little bit. The smile's not as big, but it's still there because, yeah, you're right. Our kids got to go compete today. And, you know, that's important. I saw a great quote from Muffet McGraw, who was the Notre Dame's women's coach, who's very successful, won a couple of national championships, I think. And she said kids today need to learn how to face adversity because they'll be tougher for it. And you know what? Our kids have faced some adversity over the last month and 5 days, faced some today in the game, but there was never a moment where I didn't think we weren't giving it everything we had. Right. And that was all 8 guys that got in the game, too. Yeah. There wasn't a moment where a guy was mad because he came out or mad because he wasn't there. You know, our bench is up, and so from that standpoint, yes, they are a good team as well. I agree. You know, kind of what we said on the scouting report about their 2 guys leading them in scoring. But for us, and this is on coaching some, you know how it is, situations, into the first half. We're down 3. They go to a zone. We're trying to get Drew to pull it back out. Of course, we haven't really worked on in-the-quarter situations, and he's wide open. He takes a good shot. But if we can hold it, take that shot, we go on down by 3. Well, they come down and they run a little set. We're right there. We got 2 guys on him, and he makes a tough shot. They're up by 6. And then, come out to start the third quarter, a few little missed shots and stuff. But, again, that's just situational coaching. That's us getting better in practice to do those things as well. But, battling-wise, I thought our kids did a great job, never quit. And even when there's a minute left, I think we cut it to 8 maybe, even though it ended up 11. So I'm real proud of our guys, real proud of the effort. And I was glad to see the ball go in for some guys, too, because Carson Harrison had been struggling a little bit shooting. We had 3 guys in double figures, which is a good thing. It means we shared the basketball and moved it. But, moving forward, as we said earlier, 2 days, and we play Short Ridge next Wednesday, 2 days, and we're back here against Cascade next Saturday. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it gets to this point of the year, it's completely different than anything you guys have faced in the past. By this time, once you got to the end of January, if I recall right, you would have a lot of weekday games. I mean, I think last year at one point, we had games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday throughout the year. And this year it's going to be completely different. But I tell you, your kids, a mature group, they'll be able to handle that, I think.
Well, and our seniors, too, I think they're relishing every opportunity they get to step on the court. And our younger kids really like our seniors from the standpoint they're good people and good students. So, we're looking forward to getting back on a Monday. No one wants to lose, but, we've got 13 more regular season battles. We told them 1 more guaranteed in the sectional, and every team on that is going to be a potential victory. And we'll clean some things up, and I think we'll get some more victories than we will losses.
So you got some conference games remaining as well.
Yes, we do. So we're coming up with we've got Ritter still to play, and Lutheran still to play. Triton Central will be the final home game. Cascade's a conference game. Yeah. So we got a chance to. We're 1-2, and we got Ritter too. So we got 5 left. So we could end up 6-2 in the conference and be right there. I think Beech Grove's leading right now, but be right there. But that's going to be tough. And then we got some good outside competition. We play Covenant Christian right now, who has really a shot to probably do very well in 2A, but they're in the Final Four of the city championship tonight.
Right.
So they made it that far along. That's the 2nd straight year they made it, so that'll be a tough game. We go to Lebanon, another Sagamore conference, and Coach Hendricks, does a great job up there. We added Bethesda Christian this year, and even though they're only a single-A school, they're going to be a very tough competition. So, again, those 13 games we have left, conference games will mean something, everything else will mean something, but at the same point in time, I really like the fact that we're going to get a play. So,
sure. Yep. Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations on a lot of good effort tonight. We thank Brian Pierce, Bill P., Brett Robinson,
Mr. Avery.
Those guys, Mr. Avery.
Not that you guys couldn't show up, but Mr. Avery.
They're always around here and always keep us trying to do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But thank all these guys. They do an unbelievable job. So once again, final score 69-58. We're going to be back in a couple of hours to do the girls game tonight against Guerin Catholic. So once again, from Pollard Gymnasium, Good afternoon, and we'll be back in a couple of hours. Thank you.